Donald Trump's Islamophobic rant returns. You're watching India Today Global. This evening, we'll be discussing what's happening in American elections and why is Donald Trump focusing on the anti-Muslim rhetoric. Is it just vote bank politics? We look at the history of Donald Trump and presidential elections, the things he's said not just during the presidential elections, but the things he's done during his presidency as well. Joining me from the United States of America is my colleague Rohit Sharma. Rohit, let's begin with what's happening on the ground. We see one tweet by Donald Trump which says, and let's just explain that tweet. It's a photograph of an American flag being burned by what looks like the Muslim community, people from the Muslim community. And it says, meet your new neighbors if Kamala wins. It's not just this, it's a series of a few tweets that he's put out around the same time. No one is safe when Kamala opens the borders. Kamala Harris pledged free health care for illegals, and there's a huge crowd of people. So, Rohit, break it down for us. What does this really mean? What is the intention over here? The attack on Muslim community in the US.
Well, look, I think, at the end of the day, it's not unexpected of Donald Trump to tweet such things. I mean, it's very important to also understand that this is getting a very close election. But at the end of the day, look, he's always gotten away with such attacks and such things that he's done in the past. So very, very strange for him to do that, especially in a close election when a lot of Muslim American voters are not, wanting to vote for Kamala Harris. To see a tweet from him like that, I mean, one would argue that he would probably want to go for after these votes and want Muslim Americans to vote for him. But to tweet something like that, not holding himself back, I think it kind of tells you that, he obviously has his own reservations. He knows that these people probably would not vote for him, and he's trying to consolidate his vote MAGA base, which is what I think this was intended at.
Well, very interesting, because in 2016, when he actually won the vote, if you look at the conversion rate of Muslim votes from Muslim Republicans to moving to Hillary Clinton, as opposed to the Democratic votes that moved to Donald Trump. 2016, when he actually won the elections, 32.9% of Muslim Republicans designated their vote for Hillary Clinton, whereas only 6.4% of Muslim Democrats voted for Donald Trump. He has data over here to say that, well, they are not his voters. But like Rohit, you said, a lot has changed in the swing states. Many of them upset with the Biden-Harris administration stand on the Israel-Hamas war. And therefore, this could have been his opportunity not to really take it in a way and in a direction where the votes that were not going to Democrats are certainly not going to come to him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been some internal polling data, must have been what he said in the past. Also has to do with the fact that minority voters essentially end up voting for Democrats regardless of the issue. So I think it also, helps Kamala Harris in a way that, she can, obviously go after these voters, try to tell them, hey, look, this is the guy I'm up against. He doesn't want you in this country. He thinks you guys are not American enough. And we, as Democrats, can do much better than protecting your rights and talk for your issues and make sure that, none of you gets deported. Remember, he's the guy who started with a Muslim ban as soon as he came to the office in 2016. So again, Donald Trump doubling down here and like slew of tweets, trying to consolidate his base, trying to speak to the voters directly, and also indication of the fact that this is going to be a very, very close election, especially from the polls that we've seen.
Well, there are a series of tweets and they clearly show the stand and position that Donald Trump has taken. We also have a bite of his from 7 years ago and we will play that out. But before that, these are the tweets, and if you read the tweets, you know exactly what Donald Trump means and who the vote bank that he's catering to. Now, during office, he himself was surrounded by people who weren't quite pro pro-Islam or pro-Muslims. Sebastian Gorka, the advisor, a former Trump advisor who was fired by the FBI for his Islamophobia. Then you have Michael Flynn in 2016, the national security advisor turned felon, who actually said things like Islam is a cancer. Senior advisor Steve Bannon, Catherine Gorka, Homeland Security's was named as part of Trump's Department of Homeland Security. Attorney General nominee Jeff Sessions. Top officials, including Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and National Security Advisor John Bolton. Very, very strong positions when it comes to Israel, Palestine. We saw the positions that they took on various countries leading up to 2017, when the first Muslim ban took place under President Trump, an executive order that banned Muslims from 7 Muslim majority countries: Iraq, Syria, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan and Yemen for a period of 90 days. This again, his own lawyer, now advisor, then Rudy Giuliani, had said Trump asked him for a way to ban Muslims coming in illegally. Legally. And this was that legal thing that they did, and it was the first Muslim ban. So a lot of decisions that have been taken, Rohit, when it comes to Donald Trump, and how singularly he's focused on this one community, and certainly during presidential campaigns, demonizing of this community as well.
Absolutely. I think, it's again, reminder to a lot of voters the fact that, he's somebody who's not, speaking for them, especially not for the minorities, especially not, for immigrants, especially not for, people with color. And I think it again, sort of, sorry, I had to step in. Yeah, it also sort of speaks to the fact that he's somebody who's not, going to, be controlled by his campaign. Definitely not somebody who's going to fall through the line. Definitely not somebody who is going to be, contained in any way, shape, or form. And I think a lot of people call those speeches unhinged, which is what the Democrats have been calling for this campaign of Donald Trump. So again, very, very characteristic of Trump to come out and say this. Now, bear in mind that there was polling that came out, yesterday that said he's leading some of the battleground states. But for Trump to tweet certain things and say certain things like that, it kind of tells you that he's worried. He's definitely worried about this election, and he knows who his voter base is and who he wants to seek those votes from.
Right, that's right. And when it comes to what he has said in the past, it is very clear. During one of the Republican Hindu Coalition event, Rohit, he spoke about India, he spoke about Hindus. That's a vote bank that, he's okay and is accepting of. But he also spoke about Islamic terrorism, Islamic terror. Let's play that bite out for you, and we'll come back to you just to explain to our viewers what's happening, how there's an entire pattern to what Donald Trump does every election, whether it's 2016 or the 2019 election and now 2024. But listen into this.
I'm a big fan of Hindu, and I am a big fan of India. Let me start by stating right up front that if I'm elected president, the Indian and Hindu community will have a true friend in the White House that I can guarantee you that I can tell you. Generations of Indian and Hindu Americans have strengthened our country and strengthened it like few people could ever even believe. Your values of hard work, education, and enterprise have truly enriched our nation. But as we all know, we can't have prosperity without security. And that is why we appreciate the great friend India has been to the United States in the fight against radical Islamic.
Well, that's former President Trump for you. Rohit, the statement speaks volumes. It's not just about consolidation, knowing exactly what he's doing in terms of the consolidation of Republican vote bank. looking at fence sitters and seeing whether if at this point in time there's a position that's been taken by those who really support Israel, could be Democrats, and looking at very clearly making that distinction and drawing that line. He's doing it. The confused one over here look like the Democrats, because they're trying to because they are already in the administration, they have to be more balanced about it, and so this balance could cost them dearly.
Yeah, look, and I've spoken to a lot of Indian Americans who take pride and happiness in the fact that he's not clubbing them as South Asians, right? He's not trying to say, oh, all these South Asian people, which is what the Democratic line has been all these years. They don't make a distinction between Indians and Hindus and Pakistanis and Sri Lankans. I think they club them together. I think Donald Trump is specific. He understands the fact that Indian Americans are the most wealthiest group in America. They can donate a lot of money. They live in a lot of swing states and key districts in those swing states. So their votes could actually matter. I mean, that's maybe what we're seeing on the screen is, Shali Kumar there, who sort of had this event years ago. And I think he understands that. He understands the impact, all these Indian Americans could make. He also understands that very conservative values that Hindus share with a lot of Christian values. So I think he understands all of that. And he's trying to sort of make that distinction and say, look, I don't want to club you guys, all of these guys together. I know who I want. I know who can raise money for me. I know which of these people live in key counties in Georgia, in Atlanta, in Pennsylvania. That could matter. I mean, the voter margin could matter. So he's going for all that, very laser focused on those voters versus Kamala Harris and their campaign, who just want to club everybody together. And look, I mean, even if you look at Kamala Harris and what she said over the years, she's played to the choir in the sense of she's South Asian one day and she's Asian one day and she's African American one day. But I think Donald Trump is like, look, I know who I'm going for. And he's laser focused on getting those votes, which could be in turn Hindu or Indian American votes.
But he's also making the distinction, us versus them. That's the language, Rohit, that Trump uses. Us versus them. The national identity as an American, more important than anything else. And in that, he's making that distinction of who identifies himself or herself as an American, as opposed to those who are outsiders, illegals, intruders, entering the country without the permission of not just the country, but also not welcome in the country. So this us versus them language is very different from the inclusive, all-welcoming, democratic language that might no longer be acceptable in many quarters, which is what he's playing at over here.
Absolutely, and the fact that loyalty means a lot to him. Whether it's loyalty to him or loyalty to the homeland, which is the U.S. He's never been open to ideas. I mean, we look at the turnaround rate and it's a registration when people have different ideas. Talk to General Mattis, talk to General, Mike Kelly. I mean, look, all these years, he always has believed that once you are here, you've got to talk, you've got to toe the line of what America is. Make America great again actually means being loyal, and he's not willing to listen to other opinions. He's not willing to listen to other cultures, and doesn't obviously he has a very, very, very strong line when it comes to Israel and Gaza, unlike the Democrats, right? There's also, as you said, appealing to a lot of Israelis, a lot of Jews in the country. Democrats, on the other hand, they want to be everything to everybody. I think that's where the fault line is, and some people have called them out over the years. We recently talking about flip-flops. We'll probably see some of them, play again in the coming weeks or months. But the heart of it all is he's trying to distinguish himself with what Democrats stand for, what the GOP stands for. And GOP right now is a thumbs party, and they all stand for only one thing, that is about to make America great again. And that means you cannot be for anybody else. You cannot be talking for the country. You cannot be having different values than what it is to be an American.
Well, Rohit, there are two very important aspects. One is the illegals, the Muslims, Islamophobic rant of Donald Trump. The other is the Israel aspect, which we have been discussing, but specific to what has happened in terms of yet another body of an American found in Rafah. Now, that also is playing out over here, and which is why we see the rhetoric not just grow, but he's doubling down on that rhetoric by talking about how the Biden-Harris administration. He now clubs it to make it a point that this current presidential candidate is also part of the current administration, the Democratic administration, to pin her down. And in that he has been talking about how the government, the administration has failed the entire system when in bringing those people back. So he's now taking on the the Biden-Harris administration, even when it comes to how they've handled and tackled the Hamas.
Absolutely. I mean, look, and again, this is an issue that's been bothering the Democrats for some time right now, and it's a very easy pickings for him right now. To say that if I was in charge, I would not be doing these things. If I was in charge, this wouldn't have happened. The ceasefire could have achieved. He could have achieved a ceasefire a long time ago. He's also said that this war would have never happened. So he's trying to play that role of, look, under my leadership, when I was the president, none of these things took place. I know better. I have working relationship with these leaders. Democrats haven't helped themselves really, and he's not wrong when it comes to saying that. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Joe Biden has called out Netanyahu publicly. So has the leadership, the Democratic leadership as well. So I gotta go.
We're about to take off. And then, you can't stay like.
Okay. So we'll try to get back to Rohit, because he's being asked to move from one place to the other, and we'll try patching him back. Because is he back? Can I get some audio on Rohit? Rohit, can you hear me?
I can now, Peter. Sorry, as I said, I'm in a rush. But anyways, trying to do this about 15,000 feet from the sea level. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think as I was trying to make the point, and sort of in closing, I think he can understand. He's getting a sense of it. He's made valid points, and I think a lot of his points resonate pretty well with a lot of voters, especially when it comes to the Israel war. And we probably see that in the next few days, especially when it comes to over to you.
Okay, and finally, before I let you go, it seems like the Democrats are having a difficult time. The polls are showing it very clearly that in swing states, Trump is taking the lead. We are seeing a lot of rallies that are being scheduled for Harris and for Walz. That clearly shows, in a way, that they are looking at these swing states with a lot of desperation, but also wanting to ensure that they do everything in their power and leave no stone unturned to swing it, to really be able to get the states in their kitty.
In America, you look at where Tim Walz is, you look at where Joe Biden is going to be, you look at where Kamala Harris is going to be. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, both making a stop at Pennsylvania. Tim Walz is going to go in Wisconsin. You look at Doug Emhoff, he's going to be in Virginia. I mean, these are very important states for Democrats. And look, he is. I mean, Trump doesn't have a full schedule yet. They're not having rallies, but Democrats are doubling down on these things.
Okay.
And they know for a fact that they're lagging behind.
Okay, so one day you have Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Virginia, and Pennsylvania.
Yep, all of them.
All of them.
Kamala Harris is going to be in two of those places. Joe Biden.
Kamala Harris, Emhoff, Biden, and Walz, all of them taking turns in various cities, but are making sure, various states, but are making sure that they have it all covered. It was also a little late in the day for the Democrats because the announcement of the presidential candidate happened a little late in the day. Trump had an advantage there. She did have a bump after the DNC. That bump in terms of the uptick continues in some states, but very difficult in the swing states, where in most of the swing states, it's the Republicans, it's Trump who is leading. Those are the latest numbers. But what and how are they planning and strategizing and making that difference? Look at this tweet over here. It is yet again the Islamophobic rant of Donald Trump that we've seen every election. This is the tweet that really made that difference in what the Donald Trump camp does, how they look at the politics of the country versus or as opposed to back then Barack Obama, who was leaving, Hillary Clinton, and then Biden. He actually, during the presidential campaign, when Hillary Clinton was standing against him, he spoke about the sitting president, about Obama, and how he would not even like to name them, leave alone talk about the issue at hand. And he was talking about Muslims in the country. So it's as stark, as blasé, as blatant as that. The conversations are only going to get nastier in the days to come with the elections drawing closer. Rohit Sharma, thank you so much for joining us. We'll keep coming back to you on what's happening on the ground. You are traveling, you are looking at what's happening in the swing states. All those analysis you can read on the India Today website, on the India Today Global website, and you can watch our shows, detailed interviews on our YouTube channel, where we are bringing you the latest from the United States of America, whether it's interviews, analysis, in-depth stories. You have it all over here on India Today Global. Thank you so much for watching.